Our faces are the face of a nation. My face can be yours. Yours, your neighbors. We have, each of us, been touched by the dynamic force of democracy, the Alliance for Progress. Its spirit has entered our land. It is moving us toward a better life. Look for it in our faces. Santa Laura. It had changed since it was here last. There is much nitrate here and all over La Pampa. Enough to keep many working, hard work, a man's work. Nitrates, the richest deposits in the world. The natural salt of this unfertile desert was used to nourish and make bloom the soils of the earth. Felix Cejas worked as a miner for 20 years. The day would start early, very early. The afternoon heat was unbearable. No one could work in it. Then the day would start again and end late, very late. But Sunday was a day of rest, the only day to relax. And the people of Santa Laura really worked hard at it, all 2,500 of them. The band would play and people would dance. The band would play and people would stroll by in the streets wearing their finest clothes. The band would play and the men would fight. And for those who did not listen to the band, there was a theater with plays and operas. And there was drinking and fighting. Yes, Sunday was a day of rest, and Monday was a problem. A proud life, but it is dead now. It is of the past. Strong men, miners. Men had no work because science had discovered a cheaper source of nitrates. There were strikes, riots, but no work. No work for the men of the North. The people of Iquique had mourned for themselves. The dead past, a hopeless future. But there were men who had no time for mourning, who could not wander aimlessly and hopelessly through life waiting for something to happen. Men like Carlos Gelman of Chile's Industrial Development Corporation in Iquique had to find a way to redevelop the area. There were other natural resources. There was the sea, ready to yield its rich harvest to those who would work to take it. Building sites were selected. Proposals were evolved. Government and private, foreign and domestic, all were encouraged to invest in and develop the fishing industry. Credits were given, tax reductions legislated. A great transformation was being effected. A fishing fleet was being created by men who only knew of the sea or boats what their boyhood dreams had taught them. People of Iquique were alive again. Taught a new trade from the beginning. First, there were 60 men. Now, over 400 men have received on-the-job training. Once proud miners were now proud boat builders. Hands were required to man the fishing vessels turned out by the boat yards. Courses had to be established. Juan Galdames studied at Catholic University at Valparaiso to become a captain and was sent by his employer to the United States for further training. Bigger boats require larger crews. Victor Espinosa studied at the School of Fishing in Talcahuano. More and more people were needed. Those of the North had learned, and learned well. Engineers and technicians, net menders, cannery packers. And the fishing industry is expanding in Iquique, Arica, Pisagua, in Tocopila, Patillo, and Patache. The men of the North are confident of the future. Confident enough to pass what they are learning proudly on to their sons. A man has worked, and a day is over in Santiago. Some men are tired and go home to rest. Others are tired and go home to despair. To sit and wish for a new home, a better life. To sit and worry whenever a son is born because people don't like to rent to families with too many children. They ruin the places. The men have worked and they are tired and they go home, some to dream and some to work a little more. At first he came home to mend fences, make repairs, but in the end Jorge Enriquez's home was still a shack. There was filth that could not be swept away. The health of children was under relentless siege. There were over 1,000 people in Salvador, all with the same problem. They wanted a decent home and they didn't know how to get it. They met, they talked, they made decisions. They asked the government for help, and the government answered in the form of a social worker, a technical advisor, and a plan. Vilma Reyes-Layton, a social worker for Corby's self-help project, surveyed the people's circumstances, their needs, their problems. Corby would supply the materials, complete and expert technical assistance, and in the cooperative spirit of the alliance, the United States would supply the equipment, all the ingredients needed to build a new house, all but one, the strength of the people. And this the people gladly gave. From the warehouse that was built nearby, 199 houses were gathered, brick by brick. Neighbors with a dream had formed a democratic alliance. They had each agreed to work certain hours after their regular jobs and to devote time Saturday and Sundays. No longer need they wait for a miracle. They had to make it. Soon 1,000 people would be enveloped in warmth and comfort. Community centers, health centers, playgrounds would one day follow. Children would have a real place to play. And those who designed these houses knew a man would be proud to come home, wash up with running water, the aroma of dinner drifting in from the kitchen, walk through the living room and go upstairs to his bedroom to rest. Yes, the men dreamt while building, dreamt of how it would be. Oh, for the day when he could tear his shack down and plant a garden in its place. That would be a day for a fiesta. Two men met on a bus in Santiago. They talked of dreams and realities. Joaquin Castillo was left with his doubts. Was it only a dream? Or was it possible for him to have a decent home? Miguel is Maria Cecilia's big brother. He would scold her sometimes in the cold morning air of the South when they were late to school, and she would always have the same answer. He would make her run, but he would never let her come the 3 kilometers to Quino alone. She was too young. To make an excuse before a whole class is not easy. It was always the same. The way is so long and difficult. Maria gets sick from the cold. He had to wait for her. He was her big brother and she needed him. And always he understood. And always he thought, they come so far. It's colder inside than out. Can a child learn when a chill is causing the marrow of his bones to quiver? The window is broken. The heater beyond repair. They learn from old textbooks, training their eyes, squeezed together on uncomfortable benches. Can they learn well? Can they learn well enough to have a life better than that they were born into? The destiny of the day generation rests firmly on the decisions of the night. And Miguel and Maria's parents want what is best for their children. They came to discuss an ambitious plan and its meaning to the village of Quino. The plan was building of schools, polyclinics, access roads. But it was much more than that. It was the training of new teachers, the development of new methods and textbooks, and it was up to the people meeting and discussing in a democratic fashion to organize themselves, to contribute of their time and talent what they could, and they would be helped by the government, financed by a private organization in the United States, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. This was Plan Victoria. In the village of Quino, there are 580 people. In the community, 2,500. They came to work. They came in wagons, on bicycles and on foot, walking and running. They brought with them tools, some earth, a plank of wood, anything they had to give. Throughout the entire Victoria district, people were working. 8 schools were rising on the land. Roads were being chiseled into the earth. Men felled trees, made bricks, became masons and carpenters. Boys were helping their fathers. Students were becoming teachers. The normal school in Victoria was preparing young men and women for their task in the new rural schools. Demonstrations were given on the nature of a child, his physical makeup, his psychological and sociological problems. They were shown the effect of diet on a child's ability to listen. There was an excitement generated here, an enthusiasm for learning that would soon spread to the new schools. The new teachers also studied special courses in orchards, gardens, library management. What they learned, in essence, was how to fill the needs of the children. And Irma Alarcón would soon be sent out to do just that. She wondered if she would be ready for her work. An experimental program organized by the Ministry of Education designed a new curriculum. New textbooks were prepared and distributed. The newly built furniture became a symbol for when that was finished, school would open. The future was ready to move. And the past was glad to stand aside. Their lives were now enriched. Their destiny had been unalterably changed by a decision of the night. And they understood that a power had lain within their breast, which for the first time in a long life had been set free. The plan was realized. Teachers were ready to teach. The school was warm, not overcrowded. Light, comfortable. The children were ready to learn. This was Plan Victoria. A spirit is something unseen. It pervades the atmosphere. But if we look closely at ourselves, at the housing in Viña del Mar and Concepcion, the new hospital in Valdivia, along the new roads, at the new village of Michigan, a hydroelectric dam at Rappel, modern trains, new steel machinery at Huachipato, adult education classes in Rancagua, a primary school in Santiago, distribution of land in the John Kennedy colony, new planes, at Jorge Enriquez and his new home, at Miguel and Maria and their new school, at Felix Cejas and his new job. If we look closely at Chile today, we would feel its spirit. We would know that much has been done, and we would also know that much more can be done through our democratic traditions. The faces of Chile are changing because the spirit of cooperation has entered our land, the spirit of the Alliance for Progress.